Hello, hello. Shelly Schmidt. Do you know a Shelly Schmidt? I'm looking you up. From DeMont. What's up? What's up? Hello, everybody. What's up, Paul? Hello, hello. First meeting, what's up? Hello from Michigan, Connecticut, Florida, Alabama, Wisconsin, California. All right, what's up, guys? Hi from Florida. Hello, hello. All righty. Well, welcome to our iTrackBites Live. Let's see. Let me make sure. How is everybody's week going so far? If you are new here, this is your first meeting, go ahead and let me know. This is awesome. We got a couple newbies. Hello, hello. From Ohio, hello. Alaska, that's awesome. All righty. Got on a couple minutes early rather than 7:30, but figured we'd get some people hopped on here before our special guest comes. All right, everybody. Hello, hello. So my name is Jordan Clyde from Clyde's Daily Life. I am one of your iTrackBites ambassadors, and I am your iTrackBites weekly meeting host every single week. We do a live meeting here, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm so happy to see all the new faces on here. And yeah, I'm just excited there's a lot of Alabama people. If you didn't know, I'm actually moving to Alabama soon. We just had a few offers put on the house, and so we're just waiting on everything to finalize and get all that stuff going so we can hopefully be out of here by end of February is what we're hoping. So yeah, that's a little update on us. But my name is Jordan Clyde from Clyde's Daily Life, and I am your iTrackBites investor and weekly host. So let's get this show going. We are going to be having a special guest tonight. Just sent over the link and just waiting for them to hop on in the background. But let's talk about this. First of all, how was your last week? How was weigh-ins going? First week on Purple, and I was able to lose 4.4 pounds, even with taking an off day on Saturday, which was pretty exciting. Been figuring out a lot of stuff like whole foods and organic foods and all that stuff for me. And it's been going great. Me and my wife and my sister have been doing it together, and we took the dive and we have been enjoying it ever since. So yeah, first week down 4.4 pounds. Probably could have been more if I didn't have, fried chicken on Saturday. But other than that, it's been going great. How has everybody's week been so far? First week, Amanda lost 6.6 pounds. That is awesome. What's up, Sherry? Just seeing you pop on here. Paul, how is paleo going with better balance? Let me know. All righty, let's see. Oh, okay, we have her in the background. I just seen her pop on. All righty, so if you did not know, we have a special guest this week. Her name is Liz. Her handle on Instagram, let me go ahead and type this in or I will forget, is at her.infinitelife. She is down over 50 pounds, and she's got kind of a good story from what I can see and what I've been doing a lot of research on her and whatnot. So I am really excited to have her come on with us tonight. And I figured without further ado, let's go ahead and get her on and let her kind of take the lead. So All right, Liz, what's up? What's up?
Hi, I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So I figure let's go ahead and just start with who are you?
Okay, my name's Liz. I live in Austin, Texas.
Oh, awesome.
I have kind of been on this health journey for about 2 years now, and it's been a wild ride, but overall, a really successful one. And I'm in such a better place than I was when I started. Let's see, what else about me? I'm an actuary, so I'm a math nerd, love math.
I'm an accountant.
I have a 7-year-old son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're just kind of dealing with 2020 and hoping 2021 is a little less crazy. So
I get you. No, I get you.
Yeah.
So let's get going so where did, first of all, let's start with your weight loss journey. I do know
Yeah.
that I want to kind of talk to you about your vegetarianism and all that stuff,
Yeah.
because that's totally like what me and my wife are trying, not really getting into that per se, but more of the whole food. So I would love to dive into that. Let's go first with when did the whole weight loss journey start? You said you've been going through it for about 2 years?
Yeah, so beginning of 2019, I've always kind of struggled, and especially after having my son, it just felt like I mean, food has always been my coping mechanism. So that was kind of always my issue. So at the beginning of 2019, I really started my journey, and I lost about 50 pounds in 6 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I really just like completely, it felt like once I got started, I was almost addicted to that high of losing.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And so that was really great. And I had been vegan, vegetarian for quite a while in high school and college. And then I got pregnant midway through college, and I didn't stay with it while I was pregnant. So I got back to that over a year ago now. So October of 2019 is when I went back to being vegetarian. And I feel like, I don't know that it's really helped or hurt my weight loss journey, but I feel like I feel better.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, I completely understand.
Yeah. And I feel like, so I lost all of that weight for the first 6 months. And then about 3 months after I hit goal, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. 2 weeks before I hit goal, I decided to get sober.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was in July of 2019. And about 3 months after that, we had a tragic death in our family. And what I learned about myself was that although I had figured out what to eat to lose weight, what I really hadn't treated was why I was eating, how much I was, and what I was eating prior to the weight loss. So not having alcohol to turn to, I kind of turned back to food because I didn't fix the underlying issue.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So I gained some of that weight back in 2020, but I've been on this journey to kind of learn more about myself and how to cope with things at the end of 2020. And so I'm getting close to goal again. So
yeah. No, that's awesome. So when you you lost the 50 pounds in 6 months, was that totally just from going back to like veganism, vegetarianism, like all that stuff? Or was it like, counting calories or just whole food? What exactly did that look like for you for the 6 months?
Yeah, so I was not vegetarian at that time. I was on the Blue Weight Watchers plan. It was before they had options. So I lost all of my weight on that. And that's why I feel at home with iTrackBites, because it's still what I know and what I love, but I feel like with a lot of other perks that I wasn't getting over there. So that's how I lost it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So what exactly then did 2020 do for you? I know that like I usually ask a lot of people, and I hate saying 2020 because it's like, thank God it's in the past a little bit. But what exactly like did that whole year look for you? Obviously, you said you gained, some of your weight back. So was it just because like, were you working from home and it just your schedule was all mixed up like so many of us?
Yeah, so I actually started selling masks on Etsy the day that the CDC recommended we wear them.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was still working full time as an actuary from home, but
Hmm.
I was also spending probably like 12 hours a day making masks for
Wow.
about 6 months. So I was getting like 4 to 5 hours of sleep for several months in a row,
Yeah.
just because things were so crazy and demand was so high. So what 2020 taught me was like, I still have to put myself first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if there's opportunity and like, oh, I convinced myself this is helping my family, like
Hmm.
I'm helping other people, but I was mentally so drained and so down, and that caused, yeah, just things, it was chaos. So
Yeah.
really kind of being able to step back and say, I need to refocus on myself. It was a big realization that, you know, 2020 was crazy. And especially, like I said, kind of that middle 6 months for me was really insane.
Yeah.
And being able to almost step back from success because it was tearing me apart internally
Yeah.
um, was a big lesson that I learned.
No,
So,
I completely understand that. It's like when we, especially when we get into a routine, like, you had lost the 50 pounds in 6 months, which I know like a lot of people on here think of that as like, oh my God, how'd she do it? But really like I lost 40 to 50 pounds in 6 months myself, you know what I mean? Way back in the day in 2016. So I completely understand. It's like you get that high and it's
yeah,
just, yes, but then like life happens. And I feel like that's where a lot of people on here and when our audience is letting them know that like, obviously Liz is just like everybody else, weight gain. I just seen a post, I can't remember who it was, but it was just like, it's not bad that you have weight gain because it kind of teaches you about yourself and gets you back to where you need to be. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
what does that look like for you right now?
Mhm.
Like, so first of all, when did you make the track over to iTrackBites?
Mhm. Yeah, so that was maybe 3 or 4 months ago, is when for a while I actually did both to
Yeah.
feel like I felt like I don't wanna screw this up. Like
No,
I've
I get
made a lot of progress and I'm scared, like, to
that.
just leave this thing that I know, but also I knew that if I was gonna be, like, pigeonholed into this diet for the rest of my life, I was
Mhm.
never gonna be happy. So, like, I
Mhm.
couldn't be so scared to, like, leave,
Yeah, I
and
get
switch to something else. So I switched about 4 months ago. And I think the biggest driver for that was honestly just to create some more positivity in my life. I felt
that.
like with that other program I was on and being on Instagram with some of the people who were on
Mhm.
Instagram in that
Yeah.
community, I was it was taking a toll on my mental health, which then wasn't helping my weight loss.
No,
Where every experience I'd had with iTrackBites was so positive. One of like my best Instagram friend, Alexis, has always been on iTrackBites, and I've had just as much success on this program, and honestly more because I feel like there's even more flexibility and more programs to choose from. So
oh, definitely, definitely.
yeah.
So let's go into now so how much longer do you have until you get back down to goal as far as weight goes?
Yeah, I've got about probably, I think about 13 more pounds at this point
13 more
until I'm
pounds?
at
Wow.
goal. And technically, I mean, I'm at a healthy weight now.
Yeah.
So, I don't feel this big rush to like get
Yeah.
to a certain weight. But yeah, that's to get to where my lowest I was before. It's about 13 pounds away
About
right
13 pounds. So let's talk about your vegetarianism and
now.
all
Okay.
that stuff. Because I really it's so funny because, oh, what was it? Me and my wife, we always do a lot of research before we dive into anything. And one night we had watched a documentary, or I had watched a documentary, and it was pretty much just about the whole vegetarianism and all that, or veganism and all that stuff, and it got me going. And then I was just like, well, let's try with the whole foods because I'm not very into, and maybe it's just I'm not educated. So that's my thing, is like I would love for you to kind of talk about your experience with it, especially in high school and college and all that. And then how is it now with you being a mom to a 7-year-old? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we have a almost 7-year-old at the end of this month and a
Okay.
almost 5-year-old. So
Yeah, well, I'm just going to be straight up that honestly, I feel like weight loss has been almost slightly more difficult after cutting the meat because you have less kind of low carb protein options. So that's been something that has been slightly challenging, but I feel like it's been worth it. My main motivator for being vegetarian and vegan, I try to be vegan,
Yeah.
but it doesn't always get there, is more environmental reasons. Just because meat and animal products tend to take up a lot more resources than plant products do.
No,
And if
exactly.
you think about it, instead of growing plants to feed animals, which then you have to use those resources to then create food out of the animals, we could just eat the plants.
No, and I totally got that because that's on the documentary. I can't even remember what it was. It was the big, huge one.
Yeah, there's and I forget the name of the really good one that I like out there
it was
too.
the big one, and that's kind of how it was like, they're getting it. Yeah, it's like cutting out the middleman.
Yeah.
Is what they had said.
Yeah. And so with my 7-year-old, he still eats meat. Like if we're out to dinner or something, or when he was in school in person at lunchtime, if he were buying lunch, which he would every once in a while, I don't have a problem with that. But when we're at home, he eats all the meat substitutes and doesn't even really know that they're not meat. Like for example, there's just so many options out there. And honestly, I love that it's also opened him up to kind of more, I don't want to say exotic because they're really not, but when I grew up on mac and cheese and like, chicken nuggets, like, and now he gets things like quinoa and I don't even know, hemp hearts and things that I feel like are actually really nutritious at a young age, where he hopefully is going to grow up with better eating habits, having kind of a more diverse diet and a more diverse kind of source of nutrients. So that's what I'm hoping for, at least.
I totally get that, because like me and my wife, and my sister, we've been doing this. We switched to the Purple plan, the Purple program, and it's really opened our eyes, because it's like we're trying to maintain the whole foods and organic lifestyle, which by the way is really hard. And you would probably say the same thing. It's not hard mentally or physically of being like, oh, hey, I don't like the food. I don't like the way it tastes. It's not even the price of it. It's just that it's a lot to take in and a lot to understand. You know what I mean? How like it is with you, especially with that, because it's like, instead of being like, oh, hey, I'm like the program says, get yourself your 0 bite. Okay. So I'm like, all right, great. I'm going to have brown rice. Okay. And then it's like, then get your protein. Well, it's really easy to be like, okay, ground turkey or
right. That's how our minds are programmed. That's how we feel about nutrients.
I don't have that. So what, how does that look like for you? Like setting up your meals daily?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm going to be honest, like I definitely eat a less, like I'm very into the things I like, which is probably makes me the worst Instagrammer ever, because I eat the same things. But where I get most of my protein is beans. Almost every meal there's some sort of bean included. For example, we just had soup right before I hopped on, and it had cannellini beans in it and some barley in there, and then a bunch of veggies. But really YouTube is kind of where I escape to for recipe ideas, and kind of learning more about really how to do this lifestyle well. Because as a vegetarian, it's super easy to just like, I think what I did in high school and college really was just eat all the pasta. Like that was my go-to. It wasn't really nutrient rich kind of dishes and stuff. So that's kind of what I do.
So are you still like with your veganism or vegetarianism, like you really are trying to figure out the whole you're trying to stay with the whole foods too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being like, okay, what kind of potatoes are we eating? What kind, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So we really try to stay away from packaged food and things like that as much as possible. But I'm going to be honest, like for example, pre-pandemic in 2019, I was doing things like making granola bars for my son once a week.
Oh, that's
like doing things like that. And honestly, like at some point this year, it was just like, my mental health is worth more than that, but we still try our best. But, we're definitely not perfect on that front. But yeah, so I think just trying to keep as much balance mentally and what we're putting into our body wise and doing what works is kind of what I've put at the top of the importance list.
Yeah. So do you find that doing Better Balance on iTrackBites is like, is that just because it's the plan you used before and that's the one you're most used to, or
I'm actually on Sugar Smart now.
Oh, you're on Sugar Smart now.
Yep.
Okay.
Mainly because I took the quiz on iTrackBites and that's what it told me I should be on. And to be honest with you, I think it works well for me because I like having more points.
Yeah.
And it also keeps me from escaping to things like prior to that, I was on Purple on Weight Watchers and I was escaping to whole wheat pasta a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew I needed some more accountability, and really having real points or real bites for everything I ate was something I knew I needed that structure, at least right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. So. Somebody just asked, like, how was it with Purple? So when you did Purple or experimented with it, I know definitely the one thing that I will say from my experience is, especially for this whole, it's been about 8 or 9 days, is definitely use the calorie as a second metric on the app. I've never used it before, but when I switched to Purple, I turned that crap on, and because it's definitely knowing that the whole grains and stuff fill you up. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely don't overdo it. You know what I mean? Right. Still sticking in your calories. Is that kind of like how it was for you, especially? Because it's like a free-for-all. Then you're just like, whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, and especially, like I said, not having kind of those 0 point or 0 bite proteins like chicken to go to. Yeah. I was relying on the potatoes and the pasta a little, potatoes and pasta a little too much, and not relying on like things that are harder to work in, like beans and things like that are actually more nutritious and going to give me protein. Yeah, I totally agree.
So what are your main sources of protein on your journey?
Yeah, so beans are number one. I eat some sort of beans in almost every meal. Even breakfast, for example, if I do avocado toast, I'll put some refried beans underneath. Love that. So that's number one. And I also do eat a lot of nuts too, which is another reason I really love the Sugar Smart program and having more points, because nuts can be like point/bite heavy. Yeah. But I love them. And I think they're worth it to me. And I also love that they fill me up. So those are kind of my go-tos. And then learning more about what produce has more protein too is something I'm trying to do and incorporate that more.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I think a lot of people, like I've noticed myself, like this week, especially like, before getting into more of the ingredients and all that stuff, I have my Equate protein shakes. Well, then I look at my Equate protein shake today as I'm pouring it in my protein coffee, and I'm like, oh, it has natural flavors in it. Like, I don't need that for my body. You know what I mean? And it's
hard.
And that's what it is. And it is hard no matter what you do. And I tell people all the time that they've been messaging me, just like they probably messaged you. And you could do like vegetarianism, veganism, any Whole Foods, anything like that on any program. You don't have to just be like, oh, Purple, oh, this, you know what I mean? Or Blue or whatever type thing. So
people asking about gas. I feel like, just to address that really quick, I feel like once your body gets used to it, it's not an issue. So you might struggle with that a little bit at the beginning, but I think you regulate.
No, that's too funny. That's too funny. So do you use the calorie as a second metric on your app?
No, but I love that idea. And I think because I don't know that Weight Watchers had that. So that's another thing, is I'm learning so much that there's so much more. It feels like available to me. It almost felt like Weight Watchers was kind of a black box. They only wanted you to see the points and that's it. So I think that's a fantastic idea.
That was my biggest thing. Like when I used to be with them, it was like people at that time, this was like 2017, 18, was always about, oh man, having to download MyFitnessPal and I'm tracking calories along with this. And I'm like, why? And then it was just like, no. But now it's like, it's there. The information's there. You don't have to double track it. Like,
that's awesome. No, so I haven't used that, but that's a great idea, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah. So where exactly, when you lost your weight, did you incorporate any exercising, or are you just like, nope, I don't do it? I have mixed feelings on everybody I have on the live. It's either one person is like, 4 times a week. The other one's like, never done it a day in my life.
Yep. So to be honest with you, exercise was really not a part of my journey at all.
Uh-huh.
It's something that I have aspirations to do, but I just feel like it's not something that brings me joy, like I know it does a lot of people.
Right, right.
One thing I really did incorporate was some yoga, but very
Mhm.
low intensity and using it almost more as a meditation
Yeah,
practice than like
relieving the
something
stress.
rigorous to try to help me lose weight.
Yeah,
But I love that it still gets my body moving and gets me more familiar with my body. That's kind of some of my goals right now, and I really enjoy that. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. So
yeah,
let's go to your Instagram. Let's talk about your Instagram. So what
okay.
exactly got you into, first of all, when did you join Instagram?
Mhm.
How, like, was it just like if you're like me, just posting some food and then here we go? But you know what I mean? How did that
Yeah.
look for you? You know?
Yeah, so I think I joined in January or February of 2019.
Mhm.
And I joined because my friend Amanda had a Weight Watchers Instagram, and she was an ambassador. I didn't even really know that it existed until that this kind of community existed until she almost didn't like tell us about it for a long time. And I think when she finally told us, she had like 40,000 followers or something
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So I think for me, I had tried Weight Watchers before in the past,
Mhm.
and I felt like this is my way of accountability.
Mhm.
And to really put myself out there, because it's really easy for me to lie to myself about
Yeah,
what I'm doing and where I'm at, and it's not so easy to lie to like strangers when they are looking at what you're doing.
yeah.
So that's kind of where it started, is in just figuring out that this was a thing from her and being like, okay, if I'm really wanting to take myself seriously here and really like commit to this, here's also one way, like I said, that I can just put myself out there. I have a tendency to really kind of close off, especially when I'm struggling.
Mhm.
And I've really learned that there are people there who want to support me and who I can help support too. Even when I feel really alone. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my start and why I love it. Yeah.
No, I know. Like that's my one thing. I kind of went on a little rant yesterday. A lot of people messaged me about because I'm so tired of getting slack and like it's not just me. I find it on all these pages of people where it's just like leave people alone. If they
Yeah.
are switching a program, they're switching a program. If they're switching a plan, they're
Mhm.
switching a plan. You don't. That I feel like that's a hard thing with putting yourself on social media and Instagram as like you get over in the Facebook world, like our iTrackBites in the Facebook world, and it's all just like, oh my God, girl, you can put whipped cream on that. Or oh my God, yeah, yeah. And it's like you get to Instagram, and sometimes people can be a little mean on Instagram. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, like, let's step back. Let's step back for a second.
There's definitely some clicky behavior, which I felt like was one of the motivators for me to even switch programs.
Mm,
Um, and and there were other negativity things going on
mm,
kind of the Weight Watchers
yeah,
Instagram world,
yeah.
and some things that I couldn't get behind that I felt like were happening. So I
Mm.
was just ready to kind of
Get a fresh start.
do something that felt good and not that felt so negative all the time.
No, I get you. I get you. So let's talk real quick about what is a day in the life of you right now. This is like I really haven't asked that on anybody that I interview or whatever, but it's really like 2021 years now. It's January. Like, what does a day of Liz look like?
A day of Liz looks like so I get up usually around 8 o'clock. I'll make breakfast, which usually right now is some eggs and toast and maybe some avocado and some
Mhm.
refried beans, like I said. Getting my son some breakfast. We are completely homeschooling on our own. So usually getting him started as I log on to my work for the day too. So usually I'll work for about 6 hours or so. And as an actuary, I have to take actuarial exams. So I am working my way through those and I get paid study time for those. So at the end of my day, I have about 2 hours where I'm just focusing on studying. But kind of throughout my working day, I'm working with my son on his homeschool stuff too. So just juggling the work and school is definitely a unique 2020 experience for sure. So yeah, we'll have lunch, and I have really appreciated 2020 in that it's been meaning I eat at home way more than I used to. So my goal, what I usually do on like a weekend is meal prep a bunch of lunches. So usually that looks like chili of some sort. That's one of my go-tos. And then like I really love bean burritos. So we'll do that a lot. So we'll eat lunch. Like I said, in the afternoon, I'll study for a couple of hours, and then I will work on masks for maybe sewing masks for 2 to 3 hours in the late afternoon. Then usually my fiance cooks dinner, which is fantastic. And after that, I mean, it depends how close an exam is. Sometimes I'm studying for another 3 to 4 hours, and then I'm going to bed. Sometimes if it's not as close, I really love to read. So my goal is to read 100 books this year. I don't know if that'll happen. But
you never know.
That's kind of my go-to thing to do if I don't have anything else to do. So work, homeschool, study, masks, maybe study more, or maybe read. That's kind of my day.
Crazy.
And throw a bath in there. I'm a big bath fan, so usually one gets mixed in at some point.
Oh, that is so funny. So what is let's see, I've been trying to like read over these messages that people are saying. So what is a common question you get asked a lot on Instagram, like with your weight loss journey?
I think I get asked most about sobriety, to be honest with you, because I feel like that's something that's somewhat taboo still.
Like nobody wants to talk about it, and nobody wants to.
Yeah.
And it is like, that was my thing. Like, obviously seeing it on your Instagram, all that stuff is like, I'm not going to ask it, you know what I mean? Just because I don't want to, but no, like, I completely understand that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are curious, whether they feel like they have a drinking problem or whether they just feel like this isn't a healthy choice for them, especially all of us going through a health journey. So I think I get asked most about that and about like, if sobriety is something I'm considering, what do you suggest? Or like, I think I have a problem, but I get a lot, like, I think I have a problem and I don't know if I'm ready to admit it to anyone, which is so crazy to me that like people want to confide in me about that, which that's probably one of the most powerful things that's happened through my Instagram is being able to connect with people in that way. So and I also get asked how that has contributed to my health journey and whatnot. So yeah, I think usually my response is really starting to read. So that's how I kind of was finally able to get sober, was reading books like Quit Like a Woman. I talk about that all the time on my Instagram. For the females out there, even not, honestly, it's a great resource, but lots of sobriety books out there that talk about how alcohol messes with your mind, and also just how we can feel better without it. So I get a lot about that, but about weight loss, I think just like, how'd you do it? And I think the answer to how'd you do it is sticking with the plan. Like when you work the plan works, to be completely honest. And like I said, I think getting on a roll and really feeling accomplished helps keep going. But I felt the opposite too before, like in 2020, when I gained weight, it's like, well, once I feel crappy, it's easy to keep feeling crappy. If number one, I can't be honest. I think being honest with what's happening, especially, and that's how Instagram has helped me to say, I'm struggling right now. And having that accountability is really helpful. And that's why, I mean, meetings are great too. So yeah, those are the two things I probably get asked the most in my responses to them.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I love that you're so open about everything. Like that's
Yeah.
that's one thing that I love seeing when I, get to meet new people and talk to them about their journeys is that they are comfortable with opening up and talking about things because we've all been there, whether like anybody likes to admit it or not. There's some different types of things like you just said, like sobriety, there's a lot of things that you can be sober from instead of just
Yeah.
alcohol. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be
That's
drug.
true.
It could be any like exercise. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I've known people that just they took it extreme and they had to die down and get rid of it.
And even food, if that's what you're using as a coping mechanism, which I certainly was, learning how to deal with problems in a healthy way is really kind of at the base of it all, right? Like
Yeah.
usually if you're doing something to excess, it's because you aren't dealing emotionally with what's happening. So that's been my biggest kind of lesson and working through and going to therapy and really putting myself first in all of those ways. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So what is something that you feel I always ask people this, is what is something that you wish somebody would have told you when you first started? Like your journey with just like your health journey in general. Like what is something that you wish that now that you're like, man, I wish somebody would have told me this from before,
Yep. That it's okay to not be perfect.
Oh.
As a perfectionist, I think I've always felt like the moment I don't do something perfectly, well then like screw it, I'm not doing it at all. And I think that's why I've failed so many times before, is that the moment I don't lose a week, then I just was like, well, this doesn't work. Like I'm done. And, and I feel like putting myself out there helped me get over that in a way, because it's like now it's not just like me saying I can be done. Like I have this community that I feel like is there to kind of support me through the imperfection. And I always, whenever I see other people post, about being down, about not losing or something like that, or gaining, it's like, I look at where I am right now, which is heavier than my lowest. And even when I was at my heaviest since I started, I'm so much better off now in so many ways than at the very beginning. And if I would have just said, screw it, the first week I didn't lose like I had previously, I wouldn't be here, and I'd be so much worse off in so many ways. So yeah. It's not being the perfectionist.
We have one of our ambassadors. I remember this. It was probably like 5 months ago, but she was on her Instagram and she was storing about like she was having a rough time, this and that, and like her kids. She has a couple kids, and they went and stayed with her mom and dad for like a night or something like that. And she's just like, for me, what I was feeling from her was, why has it gotten to that point where I just like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this no more. Like, go, you know what I mean? And I literally just messaged her and was just like, you're not the only one. Like, there's all the time me and my wife are like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I do, and sometimes it is like that. You get to the point where I mean, with kids, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I need a little bit of break. And it's not bad to say you need a break, and you're not a bad person. But being able to open up like that was able to have people give her support, even though there was a little bit of negativity, like we always get. But the overwhelming of just it's support like that, that's where your community, you have your own little type of community, but then you also have the iTrackBites community. And that's what I always say is like, there's more good than there is harm.
Absolutely. And I feel like, I think just being able to show the imperfection just allows everyone else to feel like it's okay when they're not perfect either. And I love that people in this program aren't held to that perfect standard.
Really gotta make sure
thing.
Instagram looks a certain way, gotta post this, gotta do that. Yes. I find like on my Instagram, I'm always a story person, and everybody knows. And I feel like that's why like so many people will like follow me and then unfollow me, because I don't post on my feed. And I told myself this year, I told my wife this year, I said, I'm going to start posting on my feed, and I'm not editing anything. It's literally just like, here's what I'm eating. This is what you want, because you want me on my stories, and that's where I talk.
And I feel like you know, I don't post like super consistently. Just being 100% honest, and it's just because I know I need to prioritize my life before Instagram, but it also is such a big part of my life too. But yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having the need to feel like everything I post has to be perfect is also something I had to get over.
Yeah. No, definitely. So what is, real quick, what does 2021 look for you? What are you optimistic about? What are goals and aspirations? Obviously, you want to read 100 books in a year.
Yeah.
See if that happens. I'll talk to you in December and see what book you're on. But
there you go.
What else for 2021 does it look like for Liz?
I'd like to get back to goal. Honestly, just because I felt really good there. And I feel good where I'm at now too. So that I'm not in this big rush, but definitely by the end of the year, I'd like to be there. It also looks like really incorporating a meditation practice on a regular basis. I felt like in 2019, I did a really good job of that, and it mentally put me in a good place. And then in 2020, I just totally was not a part of my life. So getting back there, staying sober, obviously. And I think not feeling like I need to kind of shoulder the whole world. I felt like in 2020, everything felt so overwhelming just because I took on everything. I didn't say no to anything. So my goal in 21 is to say no when that's the right thing for me to do. So I'm trying to think. I just posted my goals a couple days ago. I think those are here on. And I also keep a planner, so that I think that's one of my other goals, is to really keep detailed plans, because I have a tendency to kind of get on and off of it. But I love also putting really kind of specific plans to my goals as well, because I find when I don't do that, I don't accomplish them. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping to do in 2021.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And obviously, first of all, in Austin, Texas, I just seen it was snowing, right? Like yesterday.
Yes. 2 days ago we got.
I don't know how you're doing it. Like,
it's crazy.
I can't wait to get out of Indiana for that. Like, I am tired of the cold. Like, ever since we decided we're moving to Indiana, I'm like, oh God. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm just ready to get out of the cold. I'm ready to get out of the cold. And my wife's like, you do realize when you get to Alabama, when it's like 50 degrees, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is cold. I need my,
totally. I moved here from Ohio about 3 years ago, and I'm like 100% a Texan now. It feels like once it gets down, to like 50 degrees, I'm like, oh my God, it's freezing. And those were always the people that I made fun of when I lived in Ohio, But it's true. It's true.
That is so funny. Well, hey, Liz, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad that I get to call you friend, and that I've got to know you more and all this stuff. And so her.infinite.life, is that all that they can reach you at? Like, do you have any other things?
I mean, I have a website. It's www.herinfinitelife.com. There's not a ton on there, to be honest with you. It's a lot of links from my Instagram posts. So if there's a recipe, it'll be linked on there. It's also linked in my bio. If you are interested in masks, I'm on Etsy at the same name too. Those are my main platforms. Mostly Instagram is where you can catch me. Like I said, I'm not posting every day all the time, but I share what I can, and I hope to be able to encourage people. And I also love to be there for people in the community too. So yeah.
And one thing she has a lot of is templates for your weigh-ins. I did notice that. I actually used one of yours.
Awesome.
I did. But Liz, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I thank you so much. And I hope everybody else enjoyed having you as much as I did.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Yeah, no problem. You take care, Liz, okay?
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. That was an awesome live with our friend Liz. Once again, if you need to find her, it is her.infinite.life, and I posted that in the comments. go ahead and check her out on Instagram. I hope you guys learned a lot. First of all, got to experience somebody that is vegan/vegetarian and somebody who is on Sugar Smart, and also somebody that dealt with sobriety. So I hope that she was able to instill a lot of confidence in you guys and also show you what you are capable of achieving. So like I said, my name is Jordan Clyde from Clyde's Daily Life. We had a great live. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Stay tuned for next week. We'll see if we can get another guest on here. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and weigh-ins go good, and that you just let's try this. I hope you guys do something that you've been wanting to do this week. Do something for yourself. Do something for yourself. All right, guys, I'll see you next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time here on